Hello and welcome to a brand new video on an exciting new project here. It is the Blade Eclipse 360 helicopter, and I gotta say this thing is it's pretty awesome. This is a foam helicopter, foam like the E-flite airplanes, right? Like, so it is a foamed fuselage helicopter, very different than the traditional pod and boom style helicopter that Blade is pretty much known for, you know, the more of the aerobatic style helicopters. So this is their first foray into a foam helicopter that it has lights on it, it has safe, it's got a number of really exciting features on it, and it comes out of the box in this like gorgeous titanium, almost pewter silver, and a very futuristic looking helicopter. It's not based on any real helicopter. It's a futuristic kind of a make-believe fictional helicopter, but the end result of that is a very, very cool looking helicopter indeed. Some say it even kind of reminds them of Airwolf, and others have said it's kind of like a futuristic version of the Dolphin helicopter that the U.S. Coast Guard flies. So this particular helicopter here is actually not mine at all. I don't have any helicopter experience, at least not yet. So this here is a project that I took on. A friend of mine that I fly with at the flying club named Mark. I'll put his YouTube channel either up in the corner up here or down below in the description of the video. So you could follow him and follow his time he's going to spend flying this helicopter. But he came to me and he says, "Hey, I got to tell you, I just saw the release of the Eclipse 360. I think it's awesome. I ordered it, but I'm going to need some help. I want to change the Eclipse 360 from this futuristic kind of pewter silver helicopter into a U.S. Coast Guard version." Now, we live in Grand Haven, which is Coast Guard City, USA. We have the big Coast Guard Festival every year. I have the Coast Guard EC 1500, and it's pretty common that we get a visit at the local airport from Coast Guard helicopter assets, either the Jayhawk or the Dolphin. Fly in there quite often. The Dolphin is actually based just north of us, about 20 minutes or so, at the Muskegon Airport for the summer. It comes down and provides search and rescue along the lakeshore here in case somebody gets into trouble. So we have a lot of exposure to Coast Guard helicopters around here and Coast Guard air assets as well. So with that, he kind of tasked me with the job of what could I do to turn this beautiful looking helicopter into a Coast Guard one. And he brought it over shortly after he got it. He took a couple flights with it to check it all out, and then he turned it over to me to see what I could do to turn this into a Coast Guard version. And I have to say, when I got it out of the box, it was the first time ever seeing the Eclipse 360, and the quality of the foam, the quality of the paint finish, everything. I'm like, wow. This thing is absolutely stunning in person with the LED lights on it and the Fenstrom tail rotor. I'm like, oh, it's so cool the way it is. How could I possibly turn this into a Coast Guard helicopter and actually have it still look good? It was a bit of a challenge, and definitely one of the projects that I was actually a little apprehensive on, because it was so cool looking out of the box that I was a little bit nervous to go ahead and throw paint on it. So to get started on that, first thing was to actually select the paint scheme that I wanted to use. And I got a hold of Callie Graphics, and Callie did an awesome job on kind of getting the graphics and everything created for our fictional helicopter here. And then the next part of the project was finding the right color orange. That actually is far more difficult than I would have ever imagined, because I could find the right color orange for the Coast Guard. It's actually like international orange, I think, is the actual legit federal standard color for it. But you have to find a color that is available in spray that will work with foam. So lacquers are out, certain types of enamels are out. There's a lot of paints that are out there that are just a no-go for a foam finish. So that really restricted my abilities. So I went through, studied all the different paints that I could find that I knew were foam safe, and try to find the right color for a Coast Guard orange. And I think I found it. So with that, I'm going to move the box out of the way and show you what it looks like for what I think is probably the very first custom Blade Eclipse 360. and this is the Coast Guard version of it. All right, so let me move this out of the way here. And there we have it. So the Coast Guard edition Blade 360, I call this the HH-36C. So the 3.6 on there, kind of a nod to the Eclipse 360, and HH, of course, for the helicopter designation on it. And I have to say, I'm very blown away about how it turned out, actually, because it was, like I said, very apprehensive to take such a beautiful helicopter and throw paint at it. And not only just throw paint at it, but throw orange paint at it, which, to be honest, the color came out, I think, absolutely perfect. But the way the color looks online, the way the cap of the color looks, and the color, the little cards that show you what the paint looks like, varied so greatly. I didn't know if I was going to end up with like fluorescent orange or was I going to end up with red. That is like the range of the color. I ended up using a Tamiya spray for this, and it took a lot of cans of spray paint to get the really good high quality coverage that I knew that this helicopter needed. And so when I got that on there, it's finished in a nice gloss as well, just like the real helicopter. I painted the fenstrum area here is white. However, I did not paint the blades white. I want to make sure I did not touch the rotor blades at all. I left them exactly as factory, even though I think it would look really awesome with a white tail rotor. I decided, yeah, I should probably not do that. And like I said, Callie did the graphics for it, so she did the U.S. Coast Guard, the national insignia. We have the slash here on the side, and then our tail numbers of 4136. And Air Station Grand Haven, and then of course the Coast Guard Grand Haven seal is up here on the tail rotor. And then I also painted the landing gear white, just as they would be on the Dolphin helicopter. As it came to the canopy, I originally had thought about trying to create the canopy so it looked more like the Dolphin helicopter, where it had all the different windows, the side windows for the doors, and the side window for where the rescue hatch or the sliding hatch opens, where they bring in people that they bring up from the ground, from the water. That turned out to be extremely difficult to get right. I tried a couple different ways of doing the windows. Callie actually came up with a set of windows for it. They didn't really fit how I wanted it to look, so then I tried creating my own, and in the end, I kind of decided that the best course of action was just to replace the factory canopy with the same scheme. So instead of the flat black, it's gloss black, but I kind of follow that futuristic look. The helicopter is actually remarkably narrow, and because of that, it's almost as if it's like a two passenger or pilot co-pilot type setup, kind of like what you'd expect from like AH-1 Cobra or AH-64 Apache, rather than the traditional Dolphin or Jayhawk helicopter that pilot co-pilot sit side by side, and then it has that huge area inside for the rescue swimmer and the rest of the crew to operate from. So the shape of the helicopter really didn't work well for doing that. So I kind of think of this maybe more as a fast response helicopter, maybe less of a rescue helicopter because it doesn't have the ability to hoist somebody up from the water, but a fast search and rescue, perhaps drug interdiction, something like that. Some sort of a fast-moving, really exotic piece of equipment in the U.S. Coast Guard's arsenal. And I think it actually works well in that. I think the futuristic shape, I think how the helicopter looks, the shape of it and everything, and I think the way that the way it flies all align very well with that type of design philosophy of being kind of a fast response helicopter. So for a project that I was extremely apprehensive about, I am very happy with how this particular helicopter came out. Callie did an awesome job at scaling the graphics. It's always difficult when we didn't really have any point of reference. It's a fictional helicopter. It wasn't as if you can be like, I'm working on exactly this Dolphin helicopter, and the model I'm working on is exactly this scale. Just make the decals fit it. So she had to get very creative in how she did a lot of the graphics to make sure that they looked legit, and I think she did a fantastic job. I think the Tamiya paint that I used on this actually is probably about as close as you're going to get to Coast Guard orange as possible. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised though if you're watching this on YouTube. There's a good chance that it may look different to you than it actually does to me here, because of the fact that I've noticed that this color changes quite a bit. If it's out in bright sunlight, if it's in the garage, if it's under the artificial lights in the house, there's a lot of variation in, is it tip more red or is it tip more orange? But oddly enough, the real one almost does the exact same thing. So I think this Tamiya orange is actually pretty close to Coast Guard orange. And if I ever do another Eclipse 360 or any other type of Coast Guard piece of equipment, I think I will use this color again. Since this is the first time I've ever seen a Blade 360 Eclipse in person, I have to say it is absolutely, it's just awesome. I really, really like it. Like all the aluminum pieces up here around the main rotor blades, the Fenstrom tail, the navigation lights, the optional landing gear. You can take the landing gear off and put on little plastic skids, which gets it even lower to the ground. But I thought I would do the white landing gear for the way it looks right now, kind of make it look more like a Dolphin helicopter. But it is just such a cool helicopter, such a neat design, such an awesome variation on the pod and boom style, which is not really my kind of a helicopter. I love scale helicopters. I love real helicopters. And even though this is technically not scale and not real, it still looks like it could be. It's a very futuristic looking helicopter, and it looks good to watch. To look at all the curvature and how so many of the shapes are on this thing. It's really beautiful to actually get it in person and take a look at it. And it's one of those things that if you only look at it in the pictures, it's really tough to see all the little design intricacies that are in this helicopter. It's one of these things where you almost have to get it in person and put your hands on it and actually touch it to see all the really cool details. So this was a very fun project. I am appreciative that Mark let me have his Eclipse 360 for about 2 months. It's taken me to gather up all the decals, the paint, and paint it, and I think the end result's pretty good. So it's going to get boxed up and sent over to him. And like I said, I'll put his YouTube page in the video, either like up above or down below. And make sure you give him a follow, because he's going to do some flying on this. I'm going to do some action shots of this thing in the air when he gets it back. But I think this thing is going to look totally cool in the air. I'm excited to see it around the flying field. And I'll tell you what, working on this helicopter has made me even, it's kind of made me more intrigued with helicopters. And maybe one of these days I'm going to have to actually make the jump and get one of these Blade helicopters. Probably not the Eclipse 360. This is really not a beginner helicopter. This is something more of an intermediate. Mark, who owns this helicopter, has got a lot of years of experience flying helicopters, and so he's already flown it. He does just fine with it, but this is a little too much of a hot piece of equipment for me, so I'll probably start with something a lot simpler. But after being around this helicopter and watching him fly it, I think that eventually one of these is going to make it into my hangar as well, and I think it would be hard pressed not to paint it up as another Coast Guard helicopter as well, because this thing really looks pretty good. So if you guys got any questions on the Eclipse 360 or on the repaint process here, leave them in the comments below. Always happy to engage. I am trying to get a hold of the local Coast Guard air station to see if I can get this and the Dolphin together. I just haven't been able to get that done yet. So if that happens, I'll be sure to post something, kind of a follow-up video if that does happen. But if not, at least we have this and some still pictures that I took at the local airport and outside the air station as reference. So, like I said, if you guys got any questions, let me know, and make sure you give Mark a follow, subscribe to his channel on YouTube, and catch more Blade 360 flying footage when he gets this thing out in the air. All right, thank you. Bye.